Consider this. Let's say you are a 45-year-old married father of three. Let's say you own a small landscaping business. Let's say you live in a pleasant middle-class neighborhood. Let's say North Potomac. What would be missing in your life? Well, clearly...
Sleep.
Well, either that or a 2011 death race that is described with a competition so unimaginably cruel that organizers require you to sign a 3-word waiver that says, "You may die." This appeals to Bruce Allentuck. He is from North Potomac. He is the only person, by the way, from the Washington area that is going to participate in the 2011 death race, and we're going to find out why right now because he joins us. Bruce, good morning.
Good morning to you. Sleep is overrated, by the way.
Okay, well, okay, I would assume you would do that, but I have to ask, what motivated you to do this? I know you've done triathlons, I know you've done ultra marathons, but why this?
Well, it's the next thing. I saw it as a great challenge. When my friend sent me the video to it, I took it home for the first time and opened it up with my daughters and my wife watching it, and one of my daughters said, "You're not thinking about doing this, are you?" And my wife from the back of the room said, "Oh yeah, he's in."
Okay.
So it's just another challenge to see if I can do it. It's just a personal thing.
Well, what is a death race? Can you explain exactly what you have to do?
Yeah, this race, I can only guess what I have to do because they don't really tell us. They don't tell us at all. In fact, they don't tell us the start time. They just tell us to be here on this day.
Mm-hmm.
They don't tell us how long it's going to be or what the last events are. Typically, this race will last between 24 and 72 hours straight. It could be all sorts of things like crawling up mountains under barbed wire, carrying all your gear, taking out stumps and carrying them for the rest of the day, solving puzzles in ancient Greek, something
really?
we did last year. Contestants last year had to carry their bikes in the river for X amount of miles. I practiced that with a truck tire. So all sorts of things to test your mind, your spirit, and your endurance.
So it's kind of like Strongest Man meets triathlon meets Gitmo interrogation.
Well, is there team building involved here, too? I mean, do you have to work together, or is this like Survivor where you're trying to compete with one another?
The first, again, it's hard to say what they're going to do to us this year, but last year they did have people divide into teams at the beginning of the race to carry bridges up the mountain and build them up there. I think that the kind of people that this attracts typically end up helping each other, and there was a lot of that in some of the blogs I read about last year's race, and if I can help somebody through it, that would be great, and if somebody can help me through it, I'd appreciate it as well.
Okay, so finishing is the most important thing.
Finishing is the only thing.
Okay.
It doesn't matter first, last, whatever, but getting through it and getting my skull
Is there a prize if you're first or something? I mean, or is it just the accomplishment of completing it and surviving?
Just the accomplishment. You do get a skull to take home with you. It may have been somebody that didn't finish. I'm not sure.
So what do you show up with like a pair of shorts on and tennis shoes, and they give you all the stuff and say, "Here's what you got to do," or do you bring your own gear? How does that work?
They send you a list about 30 days ahead of time
Okay.
of what to bring. Last year it was a post hole digger, an axe, a 5-gallon bucket, 10 pounds of onions, $50 in pennies, and an ancient Greek dictionary.
What were the 10 pounds of onions for?
There was a penalty for not being able to translate the Greek statement. It was a bridge or something, and if you couldn't translate it, you had to run 4 miles to this cabin, eat a pound of onions, come back to try again.
God.
That's unbelievable.
So not only do we get to suffer, but we get to have bad breath as well.
Yeah, so there's some fraternity hazing involved as well, it sounds like.
Okay, now your background, you are not a former Ranger, you're not a Navy SEAL. According to the story from the Post that is now a couple weeks old, you're not an exercise addict. Have you always been motivated, though, as just an individual to push the envelope like this?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I have 3 daughters. Isn't that enough?
Well,
Yes,
that's
that would be enough for
I only
me.
have 2, and it's enough. But I don't do this. Getting up to do the radio show to me is a physical challenge. But I'm nowhere near your league. I just
It's just fun. I love being outdoors. I played rugby in college and after college, and just always looked for things to push myself on, including business and family.
All right, give me a typical day of training for you.
Okay, my death race training is on Saturdays, typically. The rest of the week I do swimming, biking, and running to keep the triathlon stuff alive. A couple of weeks ago, I took a 50-pound log and carried it for a couple miles, then picked up a truck tire and dragged it for the same couple miles. Then a 40-pound bucket of sand, same thing, and then through a 40-pound concrete block for that same route, all the while doing push-ups or burpees or things like that. And then repeated it again.
How many hours a day do you work out?
Not as many as you would think. About 15 hours a week.
Right.
Saturdays and Sundays are longer. I mean, that's the winter. Come spring, it'll bump up to 20 to 25 a week. Different things, different days.
Now, is this just males, or are there females involved in this as well?
No, there's females, and they're probably tougher than we are. They have children.
Okay, so the people that will be on this, roughly how many people would you predict would be actually participating in this?
Well, this year they've accepted 200. Last year it was 100. I think they wanted to have a little more noise on the mountains. 10 to 15% will finish.
Well, what's the criteria for selection then? If you say only 200 were accepted.
Well, we were asked to send in what we've done.
Oh, I see.
Resume, and they selected from that.
Okay.
So feeling pretty good about that.
How much do you eat a day? What's your caloric intake if you're working out 15 hours a week?
I don't track it anymore.
You don't?
I eat healthy. I eat what I want. I like to have a cookie and chocolate milk before bed.
Right.
So
Yeah.
Nothing extremely, that you would expect. Nicole, my wife, watches protein for me a lot to make sure that we're getting it. My daughters are all active and athletic, so they need it as well.
But aren't they just a little bit worried that you're actually pushing yourself this far? I mean, if you actually come home with this waiver that says, I signed this and I understand I may die, how do you show that to your daughters and say, it's going to be okay?
I think that my daughters and my wife are the only ones not worried about it.
Really?
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, they know me. They know what I can do, and they know the frame of mind that I'm entering this in. So.
And this is in June, right?
This is in June up in Vermont.
Okay. All right. Well,
if you survive, and I'm sure you will, can we have you back on the show and you can give us a kind of blow-by-blow of this thing?
I will survive, and absolutely. It'll be a pleasure.
By the way, has anybody died in one of these events?
Not that I know, but I'm not sure really where the skulls are coming from. So maybe they're not telling us the whole story.
All right. Well, best of luck, and
right.
we definitely would love to have you back on the show after you compete and after you finish the death race.
Great. It was great talking to you guys.
Thank you, Bruce.
Bruce Allentuck.
Just for the record, Bruce is 5'4" and weighs 155 pounds. Okay,
Yeah, sure
so if you were thinking he is some kind of a giant who was just going to scale this mountain in one big leap, forget it.
He's done several triathlons and ultra marathons and things like that. By the way, an Ironman triathlon